Hello there. I would like to begin the video today by saying that if you're a big fan of the channel, you can leave me a tip. Yes, you can. Hopefully, by the time the video gets onto YouTube, I'll have figured it out. Down there should be a little thing where you become a member and you can leave me I made it like $3, $8, and maybe $20. You can leave me a tip if you like. Today, Silver Stallion, a novel of Korea by the Korean author Junghyo. Right away, I would like to apologize for all of my pronunciation of the Korean names. This is the first book I've ever read from Korea. Let us begin by me telling you who the principal characters are in this novel. The first character we meet, his name is Old Hwang, and he is the village elder. Everyone in the village comes to him for advice and to settle disputes. He's the de facto mayor of the village because his family's wealthy and he lives in a beautiful home. I think he lives in the largest, most beautiful home in the village, which also gives him the added respect and prestige. Beside him lives the widowed mother, Ollie. Her name is Olley. Ollie's husband died and left her a widow with 2 children. This brings us to the third principal character of the novel, her son, Mansik, Mansik. She also has a daughter, but the daughter doesn't figure in the novel very much at all. So we have these 3 characters. There's Old Hwang, and he lives beside Ollie. He tries to take care of her somewhat because her husband has died. He gives her jobs to do for money. We do feel that it is some charity on his behalf to give her this work. She's poor. She has the 2 children and herself to feed, to keep alive. Old Hwang, Ollie's son Mansik, baby. We sense that it is a very peaceful existence. Hard, impoverished, but peaceful. Mansik, the little boy, he has his 4 friends and they go out and they have adventures. That's really wonderful, that boyhood, childhood, I should say, magic, going out and just having some fun. Sadly and traumatically and catastrophically, this army comes through the village. It's a little bit difficult to say if they are the American army or the United Nations army. There's some army from the West, and they come through and they camp on the outskirts of the village. We sense that they're like a reconnaissance army or a sort of a forward advancing army, because they come in and they only stay for a few nights and then they disappear. But what happens on the first night that they camp on the outskirts of the town is that 2 of the soldiers come in the town looking for a woman. Everyone is hiding at home because it's a tiny village. Everyone knows the dogs are barking. They know that 2 of the foreign soldiers are coming through. Everybody's hiding. Well, they must have noticed Ollie as they were passing through town. They break into her house and they rape her. Smack the little boy so he falls unconscious, and she is attacked and they leave. But this sets into motion all of the sorrow of this novel, and there's quite a lot of it. Even though everyone in the town feels badly for her and they feel that it must be awful to have gone through this rape, they also turn their back on her because they now consider her to be tainted, dirty, and they don't want to have anything to do with her. There's actually a very sad scene where everyone is gossiping and they are passing the gossip along from one to the other and enjoying it and enjoying the embellishment. And that was pretty awful, because you can imagine in a very small town where nothing happens and the earth moves very slowly, to have something so juicy to gossip about, that schadenfreude of really delighting in the fact that, not that she was assaulted, but just that they have something to gossip about, just that they have never had something so devious occur in their town, their village, and now they all get to chatter away about it like, excited school children. So they turn their back on her, and she clearly realizes this, and her little boy, Mansik, as well realizes it. He doesn't feel he can go to play with his friends anymore. They are quite ostracized in the middle of this village where they live. A few weeks later, it becomes known that the American army, the big American army, is going to be setting up a temporary base on the outskirts of their town. That first reconnaissance army, they've departed, and now the big American army is coming to set up a base. Like if you're imagining MASH and those makeshift tents, that's exactly what I was imagining as well. Because, you could see how quickly they could be put up and taken down for temporary billeting of all the soldiers and doctors and medics and all those people, Father Mulcahy. 2 very loudly dressed women come into town, showing a never before seen amount of flesh, exposing their legs and their shoulders. My God, wearing brightly colored clothes. The villagers are astounded. It's like 2 flamingos have walked into the town. And they want to buy a house. These 2 girls, unaccompanied by any man, speaking very brusquely. Old Huang, he hears about this and it alarms him. What do you mean? 2 women unaccompanied by men, dressed loudly, showing skin, want to buy a house. Tell them no. Tell them we don't want women like that buying a house in this village. And there's a confrontation between Old Huang and these 2 women who are prostitutes. I like the 2 prostitutes. I like that they were so, like, who are you, you stupid old fool, to tell us we can't buy a house in your miserable, backwards, dog-ass village. And he's shocked and affronted. He's like, how dare you speak to me? Don't you know that I'm the grand old man of this town? And they berate him and they swear at him and they say that we will buy a house in this village and we will set up a brothel. You can't stop us. We have money. Someone will sell us a house. And he quickly tells everyone in the village, nobody sell them a house. Please, for God's sake, don't. We don't want these kind of women coming in and polluting our town. But of course, there's someone who wants the money, takes the money, sells them the house, and he, packs up all his belongings and he leaves in the middle of the night, not to face Old Huang and face the repercussions of these actions. He takes the money and runs. And the girls have their house. But not before they go to visit Ollie, because they've heard about what had happened to her. And they would like to make a proposal to her. Why don't you come and work with us? The American army is going to be setting up a base over there, and women like us in the business of prostitution, women like us are going to be making money hand over fist. You might as well. Your husband's dead. The whole village has turned their back on you. They consider you to be a fallen woman. Why not be a fallen woman and make more money than these idiots have ever seen? Why not? They already think of you that way. And Ollie, Mansik's mother, sees how logical that is. The village hates me already. They can't hate me anymore for doing something that they already blame me for. And so she says, yes, you'll have to teach me, but if you do, I will. The American army comes in, they set up their base, the prostitution area. They set up this little area called Texas Town. Basically, they're really ramshackle structures, a couple of boards and a roof, and that's your little den of inequity. Maybe the rich ones have a radio where they could play some music. Ollie, Mansik's mother, joins these 2 women and tries. Of course, she has a lot to learn, and she doesn't like alcohol. The alcohol aspect is really quite crucial, because the main thing is that you bring the soldiers back to your house of ill repute, you feed them beer and alcohol as much as they can drink, because you're charging them 10 times what it costs you to buy. And then, once they've sort of reached the amount of alcohol that they can possibly stomach, then you take them to provide other services in the back. And Ollie doesn't drink, but the soldiers are also paying for what all the girls drink. So it's just in her best interest to keep drinking and drinking and drinking, because that's more profits on top. But it really does have a terrible effect on Mansik, her son, who knows what she's doing. The boys that he used to play with, his gang, they turn against him. It's very, very sad. This young boy, his life has turned completely upside down. His mother was attacked. His friends have all abandoned him. And now his mother is this infamous woman providing services that he would best not know about. It is very nice, because now their house is full of all of these GI rations. They've got chocolate, they've got sweets, they've got powdered milk, they've got all this food that none of the neighbors have. That's great, but it's not great how everyone feels about his mother and what she's doing, and how old Huang is disgraced. That's really the thing in the book that I felt was, there's a bit in the book where old Huang, he actually goes to the American base and he looks around. He sees like how many people are there, how many soldiers are working, and then he goes to the prostitution area. He goes to Texas Town and he sees like how many women there are there. He feels this weakness, like, well, I guess I'm not the leader of this village anymore. Like, I can't be, because there's nothing I can do about those people. I can't tell them to leave. They won't listen to me. I can't forbid anybody from trading with them or bartering with them, or I can't forbid anyone from going to the dump. And like all the villagers are scavenging the dump where the Americans dump all their stuff, because they're dumping out all this wasted food, and all the villagers are taking it back home and they're eating all this scavenged food. And he feels the weakness of the fact that he's no longer needed in this new world that is completely changed with the coming of this powerful army. So my opinion about this book, the writing is not bad. The writing is quite good. It's a very quick read. It's very exciting. The story moves along very well. It's just that there are parts of the book that I think don't really hang together as a whole cohesive story. And one of the things that got to me was that Mansik and his mother Ollie, they have this big situation that is brewing between them, that what she is doing is wrong, it is bad, it is causing his life to be awful. There is a plus side, the money and the food that they have, but his friends hate him, and he wants to confront his mother to tell her to stop it. That's all fine. But the second child, the daughter, she's a baby, and she's largely ignored throughout the story. I think you could have completely taken the baby out of the story and it wouldn't have made the slightest bit of difference, because the baby cries and that's it. Like that is all of the input this baby has on the story. It's completely irrelevant. Like if you were writing the story, the first child is enough because the first child has all the action and the second child adds nothing at all. Another situation that happens is that, as I said, that the villagers go to this American dump and they scavenge whatever they can find, usually food, but a lot of the little boys, they're also finding ammunition and they're finding weapons that have been discarded for whatever reason. And of course, the little boys, they're taking these home and, oh, look, I've got got some bullets here. And the boys quickly learn that if you unscrew the tip of the bullet and you can pour out the gunpowder and you can collect the gunpowder and make like a little bomb. Boys are very excited by that, of course. They're little boys. A bomb, it's going to make a loud noise and something's going to get blown up. Probably other little boys. And so they are collecting these munitions from the beginning of the novel. Like this one village, these boys, they have this yearly war with the boys from the next village just for something to do, really. They're not enemies. It's just that, this gang fights with that gang once a year as sort of that's the thing that they wait for every single year. But now this year, these little boys have homemade bombs, pipe bombs that they've been making. And you think, well, Jesus Christ, these little boys are going to get blown apart. Okay, we have these bombs and we want to use them in our war because last year we lost the war. So this year we're going to win the war. We're going to use these weapons. But then when the war comes, they don't use these bombs. They win the war just with their fists, their hands, and their kicking. They beat the other gang hand to hand. And it's like, well, then what was the point of that? Like what was the point of building up that tension, getting the audience all excited, like, man, this is going to lead to some traumatic situation, like body parts are going to go flying. This is going to lead to some event. No, it leads to no event. It's just, hey, we won the war and we didn't have to use any of our fancy new stuff that really would have caused mayhem. And what else? There was a third thing. Oh yeah, the third thing. Ollie gets a venereal disease. An STD, unsurprisingly. Her madame takes her to a special doctor who specializes in women in this profession. Like when she gets this chlamydia or syphilis or, something awful. Like first of all, the signs and symptoms, it's horrific, and I don't think very realistic either. Like there's a passage in the book where it says she gets, sorry, cover your ears if you're sensitive. She gets a discharge. It doesn't seem very realistic the way that it is described. Like I don't think that is accurate. Like I think the author could have spoken to a doctor who specializes in this field to get a bit more, this is how someone realizes they have this type of illness, not in the way that you wrote it. Anyway, so that's rather disgusting. And she goes to the doctor. The doctor says, well, while you're getting your injections, you should not continue with your business. The woman who's, guiding her takes 50% of her money, of course. And she says, oh, don't worry about that, doctor. Of course you want to keep working because, think of all the money you'll lose. And besides, like one of those soldiers gave it to you and now you give it back to them. That's the way the world works. This could be a step in the drama that leads to some powerful conflict, a climactic scene between a soldier who now gets an infection from her, but no, that's it. Oh, I'm sick down there. Oh, don't worry, we'll take you to the special, female whoring doctor. Oh, the doctor gives him some injections and okay, all right, back to work we go. Oh, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. Nothing, that's it. Just, she goes back to work and it's hardly mentioned ever again, even though it might be syphilis, which is incurable, still to this day. There were elements of the book that I felt were incomplete or a bit useless. Dramatic elements that built to nothing. I don't think that is good storytelling. I think the author was really trying to go for something realistic and something that happened to people that he knew. Hopefully it didn't happen to his own mother, I don't think. I think that he was allowing the reality of the real story that inspired this novel to get too much in the way. Like, we don't need a second child. The war with the other gang with the boys, we don't need this tension, will they use the bombs? And, all right, yes, it's very realistic that a woman who does this sex work gets an STD. In literature, we can't just have these plot elements that are just dropped and left. They need to come to some fruition, or that is not a well-written novel. It's good. The horrors of war, which is always something that is worth here in comfortable Canada. It's always good to have our noses rubbed in how the rest of the world suffers in war, because we never do. What is nice about this book is that it shows us how flimsy sort of the world is. There is a village that seems to be timeless, and then one day there is a war, and suddenly the army comes in and they just take over this village. And they really don't care about these villagers at all. They take over for as long as they like. And one day, they say, okay, this camp is no longer needed. The war is moving to another part of the country, so the camp shuts down, the soldiers leave, and the village is traumatized forever because of this war that is going on, that they have no stake in this war. They don't even know what the war is about. What they do know is that this military base that has been installed right beside them is going to ruin their way of living. So that was one thing I did enjoy about the book, was how war has no respect for human life, human dignity. It has no respect for civilization. Like, war is the very opposite of what civilization is. War aims to cripple a country to the point where those people just are forced to give in to your demands. That is what war does. If you support the channel for $5 a month on Patreon, I will put your name into this jar, and if your name is chosen, you lucky devil, I will send you this book, this exact book, this one right here, and a copy of my magazine, The Friend from Budapest. 36 pages, 3 short stories, and 1 poem. It's a good magazine. I'm proud of these stories, and it's mostly based on my life in Budapest, which was very exciting. There's some good stuff in here, and you should be happy to get one of these because there are only 100. When they're gone, they're gone. I'm not going to print anymore. So there's a collector's item. You can give that to your children, and they will give it to their children. Who gets it today? Aha, good. Dan. Dan is one of the new supporters I have on Patreon. Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. I'm going to send you that. I'm sure that you haven't read it. I'll be sending you this. I think Dan's in America, so that's not too far away. God, I sent a package to New Zealand last week, and that cost an arm and a leg. I know, New Zealand. I mean, I think it's on another planet, but so it's going to cost some money to send a package there. But wow, when the guy in the post office told me how much it was, I was like, really? God damn it. Thank you for watching. Take care. I would like to begin the video today by saying that if you're a big fan of the channel and my videos, you can leave me a tip. Yes, you can. Hopefully, by the time the video gets onto YouTube, I'll have figured it out. Down there should be a little thing where you can say, like, you become a member and you can leave me like, what is it? I think I made it like $3, $8, and maybe $20. You can leave me a tip. If you like, you can give me a little money to show some appreciation, and I would appreciate it very, very much. I've only just started looking at it, and they're trying to say that if you want people to donate money, you have to provide all of these extra bonuses. But if you want to leave me a tip, $3 or $8 or $20, it's down there. But in return, I'm not gonna do anything. All right? I'll say thank you and I'll say your name, but if you leave a tip, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to say thanks. I'm not going to make a whole bunch of extra stuff for you. God, way to sell it, Grant. Way to really sell the channel. So if you would like to leave a tip to me, to Grant from Grant Loves Books, it's down there. God, what a salesman. What a salesman I am.